Dear viewers, today our guest is a very special, very inspirational person, Sri Vishwanath ji. He is also known as by his students, they call him very fondly with a lot of love and respect, Master Ji. So I'll be addressing him as Master Ji. And many of you may have already met him, studied with him, known him, or heard about him. I have never had the opportunity of studying with him, but I have known him close to 20 years, almost 17, 18 years I have known him. One of our common friend had introduced us many years ago. There are so many wonderful, special qualities of this man. I don't know, this 1 hour will be enough for us to grab or catch all of that. But I have seen him many waves of his life. And one thing I have observed is I've never seen him complain or say anything bad about somebody or talk negatively about life or anything. I've never seen him. So he's such a positive, even to his not so well wishers, he talks so beautiful. So it's a wonderful opportunity and pleasure. And it is my great honor to present to you to all of you, this amazing man, Master Ji. Master Ji, welcome to our show. And
Namaskar.
thanks for giving us this opportunity.
Yeah.
Before I go into that, I want to start with a very basic question. How and when you decided that you would like to go into the field of yoga and you want to teach yoga? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Regarding when I went to yoga, it's again an accident. Okay. And at that time, when I started practicing yoga, I didn't know that yoga is this, that, because very young, I think I was 12 years old when I started practicing asanas. I went to my teacher's place, looking at various movements and started with that. Okay. Learned as some body activity.
Yeah.
I had no idea that this is yoga. That's, of course, this is a part of yoga according to us.
Yes.
I didn't know that one. And then, of course, one side, my formal education, I had to go to my college, school and college. That was going on. On other side, whenever I had a free time, I used to go and practice. And of course, it was so open class for me. Whenever I wanted, I could go and come back.
Okay.
It went on till I completed my graduation. I was going there, practicing and learning that.
Yeah.
And in between, whenever we had the college holidays, I used to spend more time in the yoga shala. And then my teacher used to say, come on, look this, look that, help him, do that one. This was the stage.
Yeah.
Rather opportunity. I think that's an opportunity. Great opportunity for any student to become a good teacher is that one. He used to sit in the corner. Come on, he's doing that for. Come on, see. Like that, he used to point out and ask. He was asking me to help them. It later on, slowly it became, and of course, he used to receive many people, whenever he used to leave the class to talk and receive them, then he used to say, come on, help him, do like that. So the teaching in me started not with anything else, as I can say, side by side, simultaneously started along with my learning. It happened, okay? And of course, almost a long association with my teacher, it went on. And it was a beautiful thing. Then one day, because of the rush and demand of the student, my teacher told me, yeah, Bangalore, many people from Bangalore city are asking me. I don't like to go there because here itself I'm having. You go and start the classes. Whoever asks me, I will direct them to you. Like that it started. So independently, I started teaching from 1973. Okay. Before that one, almost 8-10 years, I was in his class.
You were
teaching.
mostly like an apprentice kind of.
That's the thing. Almost a very long period.
Yeah,
That was the golden period of my learning days. Like that.
Wonderful. Now, so from late 90s, 1974, yeah, no, 1997, you said, right?
1973.
73, sorry. Yeah. From 73 onwards up to now, you have been teaching almost non-stop.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Almost non-stop. And you have seen quite a lot of students.
Yeah.
When you are teaching, what is it that keeps you teach continuously? Because I have seen many teachers, they start and they give up, or they break their journey, they deviate, they're going to somewhere else, some other direction. But you have never left yoga, or yoga has never left you. What is it that the bond between you and yoga, what is it keeping together?
Interestingly, whenever I teach anybody, whatever may be the background experience of that one, whenever I teach, I don't see the person. I see what I am teaching.
Okay.
I see what he can learn from me. And then I see, what is this? How best I can do.
Okay.
This is always there. Even today, even if the person is a new or a person has already learned, this is the thing come to my mind first. When this comes, of course, my side I have to do. That is very strict. Yes. I have to do this one. I never compromise for this. I have to do this. I will do that one. Then when I'm teaching, the way they respond from the student, it is something unexplainable. Each student is unique. Yes. Each student gives a very, very beautiful knowledge. I learn from that one. This interest among the students I'm getting is keeping me up. Now, if I see my old pictures, I become so angry, so upset, because I'm not able to give the physical classes because this has stopped me. Every second when I see them practicing doing, I say, when I'm going to start again, I should help like that. That I don't know. That is the innate maybe desire in me, which I can't express openly.
So I think that also keeps you motivated or growing or inspiring you to teach.
That is or no, because this is a notion. Huh? It's a notion. Yeah, we are all only a drop of water in that one. Okay. Every time the size of the drop, I don't think it is increasing. Still, I have to work, I have to put, I have to give, do. That is there. This is one of the interesting feeling I have when I teach. Yeah. When see, whatever may be the mind, background, temper like that, when I start teaching, all these things go away. Only I see the teaching aspect, because when I give and when the student receives, there's a huge interaction, huge development, and huge progress. The higher level of knowledge and thinking in all respects. So that's keeping me. I should do this. I should do this. I should do this like that. Okay.
So wonderful. So this is for us, like those who listen, like those who hear these words. For us, it will be like we always expect it has to be this way or it has to be that way so that I can do better or anything. But when you say, I keep learning from them, it is such an important thing for us to listen to all the youngsters or who are looking for certain suggestions or encouragement. Coming back to yoga, you also teach apart with plus yoga asanas, you also teach philosophy or the other hidden part of yoga. Yeah, like the philosophy of yoga, the sutras, other parts. How well the students receive this part compared to just the asana physical part?
I always tell the students, we have 4 ashramas. Okay. Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa.
Yeah.
These are not, don't think these are all the age something related that one. The Brahmacharya, it is a state to study.
Okay.
In that stage, the student, youngster, they have always it's not a fickle mind, a fluctuating mind. They want to do this, they want to do that, they want to do like that. So when those types of people come, they are interested in the body, external body.
Yes.
External activities I consider as asana. Making them engage in asana, seeing that they learn, practice well in that asana, that is for that particular group. And as we grow older, our mind, our attitude, our desire, everything's grow, everything grows and changes. So now in the youth, it's only body oriented. Yeah, you can see this bodybuilder, and they want to have this muscle, that muscle, like that asana. They want to do this. Very funny thing. Oh, I completed in this particular. I did my primary series today. Oh, I am learning. This is called the youngster youth stage. That is the accept it. Accept it. This is the person. This is in the level. I should give them like that. But that person, of course, as the mind, as the body, emotion matures, he thinks I should go more, grow higher, next step. Then of course it comes. And you see that one. Normally, in what I have observed all these years is people who are above 30 years, they find they should do something and they think of doing pranayama or like that. Oh, and that is very easy. Okay, and they like it. They like it. I can do better practice after learning pranayama. I can do better asanas. Like it starts.
Yeah.
So like that. So it is again for a few years they will be enjoying asana and pranayama, and simultaneously, they think what they want to know that they want to like it. So at a particular age, when they reach that, they think of knowing more about the philosophy.
Yeah.
So that's why in I am giving these online classes. Most of the people who are taking online classes, they are 30 plus, 35 plus years.
Yeah.
Very rarely I got a youngster who is below that 30 years. So that means it's a growth and development. According to that one, I plan and I receive students like that, and it makes me very comfortable to do that.
Okay.
I didn't believe that the person, I have a group in Argentina. I didn't believe that they will demand so many courses. And all they are in their 40s. Beautiful. Wow. They were very dedicated. They want to know. They were very happy. They were exploring themselves. Okay. So like that, we should, as a teacher, I should know the level of the student. It is not giving what you know. This is the blunder the modern teachers, many of the teachers do. They know a lot. They think that should be taught. It's not. It is, we should know what the student can take from me.
Okay.
Yeah. Understand? This person is in this level. He can take this knowledge from me. If I focus on that one, if I give, and he will be enjoying, he receives. And that automatically motivates him to go to the next level. I learned this, I enjoy, I want to do this.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the secret of teaching.
Yeah.
You have a lot of things, no doubt about it. You are a scholar, a specialist, an authority, but the student is not that. Yes. He's a student, is it not? So according to that level, go to the student level, teach, and you will never stop teaching. Such a beautiful experience you enjoy. He's receiving from you, he's enjoying, automatically this flows. Beautiful. This is what I am taking up. Even today, this is what they think. They may say anything. I am non-conventional according to many of the modern yoga teachers and students. I am non-conventional. They say you're non-conventional, non-linear. You have your own things. It is not what I have my own thing. It is what I have to give for the student who have those like that.
Yeah. Now, for me, this is one very important thing because many times many of the teachers feels like, I know this, I want to teach this. But when you say you should rather teach what the student is ready to learn. Now, when somebody comes to you, like for example, let's say you're teaching a class, you may have like 20 students. How do you know where the each one is? What is that internal assessment, or how do you understand that part?
Basically, the interaction we have.
Yeah.
Okay. We have. And see, the modern student, they want to ask the question that they want to ask. They think they are very intelligent if they ask the question.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they ask the question. Before the teacher completes the answer, they will be thinking something.
Yeah.
These are all the behavior, types of behavior students have. And you will find a particular student who has a better steady mind, who is really interested, devoted. You can easily pick up that. So you must know, you must have the capacity of discrimination.
Yes.
Okay. As a teacher, we have to develop this. And at that particular thing, you should be very objective. Never assess anybody from your point of view.
Okay.
Understand? Never assess from who are you? Try to understand every student from his point of view. This makes me easy to find out who wants more. Okay. And very clear. More the student talks, less he wants to learn. Understand? He wants to talk. He wants to say, oh, I know this. I can ask this question. But unfortunately, he doesn't learn much. But there are people, balanced people, that we can easily find out with our experience.
Wonderful. Now, at the same time, when a student comes, they may open up towards you to study more or learn, or sometimes without any reason, without any rational explanation, they just disappear. How do you handle those feelings inside?
No, I am not attached to that particular feeling. I know that one. Yeah. Always I believe in the flowing river. I don't believe in the stagnated water.
Okay.
Understand? They come and go. And of course, when they come, and I had heard the comment from other students, see, they are so close to you. They are so much attached to you. You have such a strong bond between you. When the person goes, how is that you continue to have your own mood, mind, mood, feeling? How is that you don't change? The person has gone, but still you are doing that one. Here, the understanding is the student has come to me for a particular purpose.
Yeah.
He wants to learn something from me. Yeah, that is an attachment for me also. He has come with this purpose. I should do this. This is attachment. When the work is completed, I should detach myself.
Okay.
Okay. He comes and goes. So many people, thousands of people. People never believe. Huh? Oh, yeah, we thought he's so close to you. We thought this. That is there for that particular purpose we are attached to. We are not attached to all our things. So we have to develop this attitude. As a teacher, we should develop. We should be very close to that, yet we are far from that. Understand?
And you have seen from the very first teacher you had, spending lots of time with very close proximity, and you yourself have been a teacher for so many years now. and you have seen other teachers interacting with many other teachers, knowing them from many other sources. Now, looking back to the days where you were a student and looking back to the days when you became a teacher and to the modern day, what has actually changed, or is it all the same? How
See,
do you look at it?
actually, day by day, the interest to study, develop, master, become an expert, getting diluted. They don't go to the root. They don't go to the origin.
Yeah.
Okay. They are in all majority of the modern teachers, the so-called expert, specialists, great teachers, the celebrities, they are in a very surface level. They have not gone even a little deeper in their gross level. Simply, okay. They want, unfortunately, in today's life, everything is marketed, become a commodity. And they have made yoga as one of the worst commodities.
Yes.
Okay. Yoga is not a thing. I often tell people who come to my class, I say, if you want to make money, don't go take yoga classes. Don't give yoga classes. If you want to make money, go to other trades.
Yeah.
You become a yoga teacher to develop the knowledge. Okay. So this attitude, most of them, they don't have. They think they can make money easily. When any person comes with this attitude, that person doesn't have a deep interest in the subject. Okay. So this is what we are seeing today.
So you have been in this area for such a long time. As you grow with yoga, through yoga, something starts to change or mature, or you can use the word that bloom inside you. Something starts to evolve. Can you talk a little bit about that process of a personal evolution with yoga over a few decades?
When I was practicing, we had our own click group. I will do 20 Surya Namaskar today. I will do 30. This was there. I will do Asana. That was there.
Yeah.
That was one of the best periods because that particular type of practice developed the resistance.
Yeah.
I have to do. I must do. That attitude develops. That's very interesting thing. So when that happens, I know what happened to me when I did 10 Surya Namaskar. Now I know what I did. I did 20. I understand everything by myself. What we call Swanubhava.
Yes.
The self-experience takes us deeper. So now, always we say there are 3 ways to acquire knowledge. Shastra, that is scripture.
Yes.
Guru Upadesha, the teacher. And third one is Swanubhava, self-experience.
Self-experience.
Our system gives highest value and respect for the Swanubhavis. If it is your own experience, that is the right knowledge. Shastras may say, even when we are talking of Upanishad Acharya,
the authors.
Given, they talk a lot. They say everything, this, they say. But the final, they say one thing. At that particular moment, when you want to execute what your pure conscience says, that is the right thing. This is the great message of the Upanishadkaras.
Yes.
Great thing. So we know a lot of things, but at the time of execution, pure consciousness, you have to follow that. You have to listen to that pure consciousness. See, this tells, and I did 10 Surya Namaskar, I will be thinking what was happening. 20, that takes me from the external world to the inner world. I will be knowing, oh, this is what happened to me. This is the problem I had. This is the pleasure I enjoyed. That comes. So you give attention to your personal experience. Enjoy what you have noticed in your personal experience, not comparing with somebody else.
Yes.
When you compare with somebody else, your ego develops.
Yeah,
When
or
you
get
realize,
damaged. Yeah.
when you understand your own self, the
Yeah.
purity, the humility, and the worth, value of the knowledge develops. So this is
Mhm.
very important. The yoga, you know that yoga is not a subject for logic, argument. No, it is a practice, subject of Abhyasa Shastra.
Yeah.
We have to practice and know what I have, what I change. It may not be in you. You may grow, change in a better way.
Yep.
Understand? So recognize this. Appreciate when you are doing something better than me. Accept it. My level is this. I can reach this. Your is that one you have reaching. So this acceptance, understanding the differences, help a lot. Help a lot.
Can you talk something about your very personal interaction between you and your teacher? How, what kind of a person he was, how he used to, what he used to look inside you, in you, what he recognized, how he guided you, or any of those private moments of both of you.
That see, I'm sorry to make this comment. Everything disappeared by the late 70s. The
Okay.
qualities of my guru
Yeah.
disappeared. So when I was teaching, not only me, all the people who were in the class, they were enjoying. He was a philosopher, very great thing, and he was a very good storyteller.
Yeah.
Even to make me understand an asana, he had a story with him.
Wonderful.
That's a
Yeah.
great thing. And of course, because of our relation, we were meeting often in various family functions, activities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at that time, he used to call, hey, come here, sit with me. And that time, comparing the function, the movements of the people, he used to give, this is the thing, this is what happened, this is what we have to develop with the help of yoga. Understand that? I think I don't know how many people had this type of experience with my teacher. Beautiful thing, simple story, deep, very
Yeah.
deep. And when you apply that theory practice,
Yeah.
it's easy. You would master like that. So that was it. He was a great philosopher, very
Wonderful.
great teacher, very humble, never
Mhm.
expected anything. And he used to, yeah, they say you can do that one, he can do that one, you do this, you do that. Like that, he used to recognize the talent and he used to give it. And after teaching, he used to sit in a corner, observe, very, very keen observer.
Mhm.
And he used to correct to the point, not
Mhm.
talking too much. You do
Yeah.
this. No explanation, nothing. You do this. You follow this. That's all. Within no time, very immediately we used to get it.
Mhm.
Like that. That was his teaching. Okay. You know, there is one thing. Nichamashriyate Lakshmi.
Uh-huh.
Okay. when the values go low, it is because of the money.
Yeah, I know. Um, apart from your primary teacher, does anybody has inspired you or influenced you, maybe with direct interaction or maybe indirectly? Anybody?
I am a simpleton in this. Okay. I have only one and only one guru. I have
Yeah.
not gone to the second person, even to listen his talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
For simple reason,
Yeah.
even today, I have not completely practiced what my teacher gave when I was.
Mhm.
So many things, very simple thing. And it is in my house, in my deck chores. When I'm doing that one, yeah, he is there. Think of the problem, there your teacher
Mhm.
is. So like that, he has then not gone for any second teacher. So I don't have any right to make any comment
Yeah. Yeah.
on
Yeah. That's
that.
fine.
I am only one and only Guru for me. Only one Guru.
Sometimes when you read a text,
Hmm.
Certain lines, certain phrases, certain paragraphs kind of create a vibrant sensation in the body. It just gives you, I don't know how to explain that experience. It runs inside the body, it moves you.
Yes.
Now, is there anything like that through the scriptures or anything like that that happens to you or has happened or keeps happening?
In this particular area, when I'm referring to that one, I get the gross thing. This is like that. So you know that we have very strict practice to follow. First gross, then we should go to the subtle. Finally, you must think of the supreme. So gross, grasping what it is. Thing as it is. So then I had this. So this is like that. Then settled. What is that? Why is that? How it happened? Okay, it comes to automatic. Oh, this is a thing. This is what like that. But when continue, then it tells. So if you continue like this, para, you can read that one. Happiness, beauty, these are all para, absolute. Okay, you say everything, oh, beauty, beauty, beauty. Modern people, they don't have the meaning for the word love. They love everything, including the donkeys and dogs. Love is not. So when the beginning, it is a liking, lust, more or less. Yeah, liking, I want. I. The next comes, I like. Oh, this is good like that. You don't have the lust, but you like it. But finally, in the likes, lust you grab. In the like, you share. But when you leave, go to the level of love, you start giving. Love is given. That's why love is God, we say. God is the only person who gives, who never takes anything. So this concept I always try to keep in my mind when I read, study, or go for anything. Automatically, so this is the beauty. Something rather in an order to say something enlightening my knowledge, myself. It happened. Then see this, you must remember, when you enjoy the highest thing, you become quiet. you don't talk because such a beauty. You cannot express the beauty you enjoy, automatically you will be very quiet.
That's so well said. Yeah.
These are all, I had these experiences several times. And even when, of course, I refer again, even though I have done talks on sutras and other things a number of times, if I have to teach now, I try to refer. Read again, go. At that time, these experiences happen. Okay. What is this? Wow, deeper thing comes like. So involvement is there. Understand physically first. Literal meaning, of course, we say, but our words we don't understand any of our words in the literal sense. We have go to the higher sense. This is the beauty of Sanatana Dharma practice. We don't understand in one way.
Yeah.
Okay. So like that, when once we start reading, studying, you enjoy that.
Yeah.
You enjoy.
Now, this any kind of form of self practice or it's inward journey or the being on the path or the sadhana requires a lot of discipline. Or in a way, I can say it, if I want to be on the path of self-discovery or inner journey or sadhana in any way, I have to sacrifice a lot, or I have to give up certain things to be here. How one can dedicate themselves or teach themselves how to keep the discipline intact?
First, I should have my mind under control. That means now I am teaching. This is that what I have to teach.
Mhm.
So focus the mind on teaching.
Yeah.
Don't think of what you get after that teaching. Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. So my job is now is to teach. Reduce your mind, mental thoughts to this level. This is the job I have to do. Let me do.
Okay.
And see, now you are in a modern world. You are having only exposure to craziness. Understand? You can't avoid that one. You can't avoid that one. See, this is because you try to engage, interact with that one, associate your mind with those activities.
Mhm. Yeah.
We should think of reducing that association. Mentally, we have to think of reducing the association.
Yeah.
So that is we have to learn. I see there are people. Oh, I'm doing yoga. I don't do this. Oh, I don't do like that. This is not the attitude. This should not be. This can never be.
Hmm.
I don't know. I am in the world which is not in my control. I have been directed by the destiny. And what is destiny? I understand only after the result.
Yeah.
Is it not? So when that is the case, yeah, whatever comes, I should know, oh, this is that one. I should limit myself. Learn to limit ours.
Yeah.
Avoiding, yeah, that's
And
important.
and many times it happens, like for example, like I have to practice or do a certain kind of particular kind of practice for length of period. My mind or my need or want says that, oh, it is not happening, I'm not getting the results, and it kind of creates a frustration. This will lead us to somewhere give up in the middle of the journey, or before we become or we get to somewhere, we escape. First part, what you said, like it really helped me. Like I have to prepare myself to keep focused. This is what I'm going to do. I will do it. But after I start the journey, I will work hard. I will do everything. But somewhere in the middle, they say 10 more steps you would have reached, and you ran away, you left, you gave up. And then I'm like, oh, with struggling, I came 1,000 steps, and 10 more steps, I didn't do it. So in those moments, when we come to that time, like where we are losing it, how to keep ourselves uh, going. And
Yes, for that, you should remember our most simplest yogi, Goga teacher, Patanjali. He's a very simple teacher.
yeah.
Satu Dirgakala Nairantarya Tatsevita Dhudabhumi. He says, when you want to reach Samadhi, when, of course, he himself knew that one all during those days, that you will get it when you practice for a long period, regularly, continuously, with dedication. So this you have in your mind.
Okay.
Okay, I have to do this one. This will happen like this. I have to practice regularly, continuously, with dedication like that. That's the second point. And third one, don't anticipate, expect. I will get it. I have to get it. That is where we fail. You understand? It happened. How many people, how many great yogis, how many ashramas, how many monks, Swamiji, sannyasis have realized, reached the state of samadhi. They talk a lot. Is it not? They are still in the process.
Yes.
When I once reach the level of samadhi, I will kick everything. Understand? I don't get attached to the physical material world.
Yeah.
So prepare. So this comes when I am doing, yeah, I should accept there will be a lot of obstacles. In 30 verse, 30 sutra of the Samadhipada, he says, various 9 major obstacles. Next 4 subsidiary. Patanjali says, we have to, you are healthy, hale and healthy today. You have to work for 1 month.
Yeah.
Are you sure that you will have the same good health for 30 days?
No.
Is it not? You have eaten very sumptuous food. Stomach is full. Do you think it will be there throughout? So these are all the simple things we should understand.
Yeah.
So these are all the obstacles I have. I should conquer these obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I have these obstacles, I cannot reach my goal. I should slowly conquer. So when you think like this,
yeah,
your mind is prepared. Why? That's why I tell you, Patanjali is the simplest among all the yoga teachers. His sutras are difficult because you are trying to understand in a wrong way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I get so many obstacles. When if I don't anticipate this obstacle, of course you get upset. Even the highways, you cannot have, there is no guarantee that there is no traffic jam in a highway.
Yeah.
When your mind is in that situation, nothing stops you. And when, yeah, my mind is there, oh, there may be so many obstacles, I should mentally ready. I should not expect too many. Then when there is an obstacle, there is a problem, instead of getting angry with the obstacle, accept it. Oh, this is the problem I have. Come on. Okay. Yeah. These things make the mind very firm, very strong. You can continue your
practice. There are many times it will be difficult for many of us to see what is the mental distraction, and because there are so many things the mind makes up stuff. I'm lazy today. Oh, yesterday I had a lot of work. Today I don't have to practice. I'll take a day break, and tomorrow I'm going to do. These kind of fluctuations are there, and sometimes there are real ones. How to make the separation of what is the mental distractions and what are the real ones?
Yeah, actually, I give a simple example for this one. You are doing asana. Yeah. Only asana, take it, because it's the easiest way to understand.
Yes.
Sometimes, oh, I don't want to do asana. I want to sleep for more time. Or this, that, like that. We have a number of reasons. At that time, with a little dedication, try to practice asana. Try. Whatever you can do, you can try that one. If that is a false distraction, when you try that one, you will continue. The pain disappears. You will continue to the practice. Okay. If it is real, yeah, pain persists. Yeah. So this is, you have to know by, I tell my students, they say, oh, I'm like this, I'm like that, I can't do this, I can't do that. I simply say, don't do practice at all. Come and sit in the class. See what others do. And of course, they come and sit, I don't see them at all. But somewhere they start doing that work. So this is the false pain, and that has been conquered. But it is really a real pain. Yeah, you continue. So this you have to try. You have to give a test and then take a decision. Like
that. It's also said that when you practice, when you start doing the asana part, lot of emotions get triggered. The people they have said that lots of sadness comes up, lots of fear comes up, anxiety develops. Why this happens and how to manage these things?
Your room is full of dirt because you have not used Dettol. Dust is all over there.
Yeah.
When you start sweeping, mopping, you find more dust, more, it goes away. Is it not? So before you started practice asana, you had accumulated all these things.
Mhm.
When once you start practicing, this slowly goes away. So when the pain comes out, when these defects come out, there will be pain, severe pain. That's the good intention.
Mm.
My guru was telling, in the beginning, if you get a pain, you are doing correct. It is good thing you are getting the pain, because what all accumulated dirt is coming out. You are throwing out. And after a few days, everything goes away. You don't have that one. In the
Mhm.
beginning, yes, whatever you have accumulated, see, they say the nerves, they bind all this.
Yeah.
When you release the bind of the nerves, it has to come out.
Mhm.
Asana releases, is it not?
Yes.
So when asana practice is releasing this one, when you throw out, it will be dirty and stinking, is it not? All the dirt. Same way. So you suffer from pain. After throwing, where is that one? So we
Mm.
have to have patience when it starts coming. Some people in the class, when they are doing asana, they smell so stink, entire hall.
I know. Yes.
So
Yes.
that is, it's not their intention.
Yeah.
They have so much of dirt, it is coming out. After a week, that will not be. So people should understand, when they practice in the beginning, just like when they mop the floor, when they see more dirt, same way when we practice asana like that, we experience these things. When once we complete the mopping of the floor is clean. In the same way, when we once throw out all the toxins, dirt and impurities of the body, we have a very good healthy body. This we have to impress upon the student.
That's wonderful. That's really helpful. Um, there are certain things that you have been trying to share, or you wanted to talk about it, or you wanted to express in many forms. I also know that you have started a website where you can subscribe into that channel and download your commentaries on Yoga Sutras, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, and other texts. Uh, Apart from that, is there anything that you would like to uh, say it to all of us, those who watch, any particular thing you want to share?
I have actually nothing to say, but I can quote our Upanishad.
Please.
Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam tan nirodha. You should not stop studying. You should not stop teaching. Studying means from all the sources we should accumulate the knowledge. And then mere collection of the knowledge doesn't work. You have to practice and experience. So that's why we say abhyasa first and then sadhana. What we have learned, we have to practice. What we are practicing, we should make it perfect sadhana. Then automatically, whatever we have learned, we should start giving it to others, teaching others. This helps us to develop. Teaching, I am teaching yet something today, but I'm not teaching yet. I am learning one more technique to teach better next time. You understand? So these constantly we have to do. We have to do. Engage, involve. Simply attending the seminar, simply going to the workshop. What do you get it? If you don't apply it, okay? So you study, apply, practice, and then start to your level. See, you enjoy, you will grow a lot, you get a lot of it.
Wonderful. Now, we are coming to the end of the talk, because I can talk like another few hours with you, because there is so much to ask, so much to learn. But we have to keep the time just like an less than an hour. So, uh, for anybody who want to approach you, who want to come to study with you, or take some classes, is there any way they can find you easily? Can you?
they can connect me, write to me, use my email yogamasterji@gmail.com. Okay. They can write to me and I will tell what to do, everything like that.
Yeah.
And this particular yogamasterji.com, this is the website where I am trying to upload all my experiences and some of the text also. These two are the links,
Yeah.
ways to contact. So like that, of course, sometimes if I am away, I may reply a little late, but I never miss escape. I do answer. Certainly, I reply to every type of people and their questions.
Thank you, Master J. It's such a wonderful pleasure to talk to you. And maybe at some other point we can talk again or have a direct interaction or something. It was wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hari Om. Thank you.
You